We are. I think we're live, Amar. Hold on just a second. All right, I'm gonna look at my other computer just to make sure we're showing up so people can see your ugly mug. That's not on that one. All right, hold on. Maybe it's another one. Hold on just a second. Oh, my lands. Oh, my lands. There we go. All right, you're on. All right, cool. Good. All right, so hold on I just got to see if you can see my. All right, so Patty, Patty, you said you were able to see that I was getting ready to do this live stream, but we weren't on. I'm still. How did that happen? I don't get how people were able to see it in advance. Did it show up under your subscriptions or something like that? That was just weird to me that people could see that because we didn't click anything. So, anyway, it was odd. I don't know how it showed up, but if anyone wants to tell me were they able to see that we were on or going to do this, that's kind of cool. Maybe did it say something like upcoming or something like that? Maybe that's what it did. Okay, I'm using StreamYard, so yeah, I can see you, Amar. Sweet. All right, good. All right, so we're on. All right. So
we're learning everything. We're gonna be technology geniuses.
All right, it's an alert. They got an alert. All right, cool, man. So Amar, they got an alert about this. That's fantastic. Because yeah, YouTube's watching me. Better behave. Absolutely. So what we want to do today is, you all know Amar, but just a brief introduction from Amar again about Amar. Amar and I are good friends. We worked together for many moons at USAA. Amar
is almost like 12 years.
Damn, that long?
Yeah. We're 2021 now.
Time flies when you're miserable. Anyway, so Amar and I are good buddies. We've been working together for a long time. Amar is a CFA and a CFP, which is quite an unusual designation in my line of work. I get this question a lot, Amar, about should I become a CFA or a CFP? And I always say, well, it depends on what you're trying to do. Because both are tough. CFA is much, I presume it's much harder than a CFP, but be that as it may, both take time and effort. You're not going to pass them overnight. So anyway, it's one of those things. But Amar took the time to go over both designations, and that's pretty cool. So I've always had a good respect for Amar in that regard. Amar is in San Diego. Don't hold it against him.
Right.
But
blue skies outside.
Say again.
We got blue skies outside.
Yeah, well, that's why people are in San Diego. That's why people are like, I want to leave California, but it's just so nice here. Anyway, Amar and I, we're going to go over the next maybe 4 to 6 months regular live streams where we're going to talk about the 13 key wealth management issues, and we'll get into those here in just a few seconds to kind of go over some what those things are. I think that'll be helpful. We've done some pretty significant training at USAA again many years ago on these 13 key wealth management issues, and we aren't the only firm that does it. I'm going to share a PDF from RBC that did kind of the same thing, but it was actually quite helpful to solidify true financial / wealth management planning with clients as opposed to just seat of the pants stuff. And we'll dive in that a little bit deeper here in just a few minutes in terms of what we're going to be focused on as we do these. Was it bi-month? If it's twice a month, is that bi-monthly or bi-weekly? I guess bi-weekly, right?
Semi-monthly.
Say again?
Semi-monthly.
Semi-monthly. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
We're doing the first and the third Wednesday.
Yes. Right. Yep.
We're not doing it every other week.
Right.
Then you could have
semi-monthly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. All right. Gotcha. And I think that'll give you some, and we'll go in that a little bit more detail, folks. I think you'll get a kick out of that because that's going to be helpful, I think, to kind of show you. We're going to talk about this. If it's not up your alley, then don't watch. I mean, you can watch and obviously watch the ads so I can get some of that sweet, sweet YouTube money, which I'm sure is going to be lessened now that the elections are over. There's not as much George Soros money flowing around for advertising. So I need you to watch and watch and watch and click those ads so I can get that sweet, sweet money. All right, but before we start, Amar, I'm trying to help him build his YouTube channel, and I actually, it's one of those things that's some people like Jason and I and Amar all know each other. In fact, we all work together at USAA. Jason's channel's taken off, which is great. Jason talks more specific about electric vehicles and stocks specifically. And I don't want to talk about that stuff. And some people like that, but Jason's channel is taken off. Amar, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, is more of a like the big picture orientation. So not quite as stock heavy focus on his YouTube channel. It just takes longer to build when you have a big, this is not in any way to say Jason isn't doing that. I don't mean like that. But what I'm saying is some channels take off quicker than others. That's all there is to it. And with Amar's, I'm trying to help him grow. So he is on this right now on his, actually, let me get, it's a client first cap on YouTube. So it's a client first cap on YouTube. So if you want to subscribe to Amar, that'd be fantastic. It's client first cap on YouTube. But also, too, I get so many emails from people, prospective clients, that need more than what I can offer, if that makes sense. There, my man Jason just showed up. Right on. So Jason at Fighting Words Financial, and you should subscribe to him, too. I presume many of you already are. Jason's channel, I have a channel, and Amar has a channel. But Jason's channel is taken off without question, so he doesn't need my help. And Amar, a different focus on financial planning. So it's fantastic. You should subscribe to them all. But I do get, I mean, I'm looking at my emails. My emails are getting heavy, and it's harder and harder to reply. So a lot of people need more of a white glove approach than what I'm doing for clients. They just need more. They just need more of a high touch arrangement. And Amar and I work together arrangement, which we'll share with you here today, about how you can use his services for a year and longer if you want, for a pretty steep discount on what he would normally charge, which I think is fantastic. And so, and again, we'll get into that here in detail. But the problem that I have is I just have a different business model than Amar's. And some people need a different business model than what I offer, if that makes sense. And it's somewhat frustrating to say to people, I just not going to be a good choice for you. I had a lady, actually, where was she? I think she might have been California, actually, just reached out to me just this weekend, Amar. And I don't think I'm not, they have lots of needs that I don't feel I have the ability to help them with, that are beyond my wheelhouse. And actually I say, I don't think I'm going to be a good fit for you. And they said, well, where should I go? And I must have heard this 1,000 times a Sunday. And I said, well, where you should go is, and that's where Amar and I are coming in. And so I said, where you should go is Amar. All right. So if you need more of a high touch, that's your guy. And Amar isn't just in California. He can be anywhere. Obviously California is the most populous state in the union, but it's very helpful for clients to have a second point of view that say, well, Josh is kind of like 1 or 2 talks a year and then once every year after that. But I need something, especially on the first front of my financial plan, a little bit more deep dive. And I'm willing to pay for it.
Yeah, so, and also on an ongoing basis, right?
Right.
The key differentiation there is that we do about 6 meetings a year.
Yeah.
And those meetings are around financial planning, risk planning, trust and estate planning, as well as taxes. And obviously on top of that, investments as well. But having that more coordinated approach on an ongoing basis takes a lot of work.
Yes. Yep. It does. And so where my planning services is more, it's kind of like, Frank, I tell people all this all the time. We do the initial engagement, and it'd be great if you never talk to me again. And I say it kind of, silly, but I mean, at the end of the day, I do like if people can get enough from me to go on their own from there. Now I do have a 1 year, every year, once a year review for $500. Some people just need more than that. The drawback is it's a wild west out there in financial advisory. It's just, in fact, Jill, who emails me, Amar, she's talking about these life insurance guys that solicit her on Facebook. And I'm just reading their crap. I'm like, God, my goodness. And I know people are buying into the crap. It's nuts. And it drives me up the wall. So Amar, let's, I mean, what do we want? We want to show the landing page first. You want to talk about your services first. What do we want to do right now to kind of introduce people to our arrangement?
So you have the landing page, right? You can share that on your screen.
Want me to?
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
start with there.
All right. So good.
So, I can just give an introduction while you're getting that up.
Yep.
So Josh and I, we don't have a financial relationship together in terms of me paying Josh for clients or anything like that. But what we do have is Josh is helping me build my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And in return, Josh wants to make sure that his viewers get a discount. And so what we did is we created this landing page here. And this is what we do for our advice-only clients, where we go deep in terms of giving financial planning advice. And so we're going to do the same thing that we do normally, but we're going to just do it at a fixed flat rate. And Josh I can see the screen up, but is it up online or is it up just for us?
No, you're right. I know when you're on when I'm sharing the screen, you can't see yourself. It's weird, but yes, you're still on.
Okay. So in our process, we go through identifying, key gaps of your financial situation today, what you want to accomplish, figuring out a strategy to get you from point A to point B. And then on an ongoing basis, we do the 6 meetings that I spoke about earlier in terms of re-identifying goals, looking at taxes, looking at trust and estate planning. Do you want to leave a legacy? And then going into protection planning. So that goes into the risk areas that we're going to talk about a little bit later in our series. But in the 13 most common wealth management concerns, we address all of those through our planning process.
Yep. Yeah. And so let's so here's the landing page. I put a link in the show notes. Apparently we're competing against Trump right now, Amar. So I guess Trump is speaking in December 6th and January 6th in DC right now. That's funny because sometimes I do these live streams. I'm competing against Tim Pool and other guys who are big on YouTube, and it's like, man, you can't compete against Trumpster. He takes the oxygen out of everything, but that's okay. That's what the beauty of YouTube is; it stays out there. I want to go over this landing page. So, Client First Cap is Amar and his firm there, and it's a small firm. I mean, I'll get lost in the shovel. It's just actually kind of funny because I hear all the time, Amar, like, I'm going to Edelman. I'm going to pick on Edelman just for the time being. I know people work at Edelman. I have no issues with it, whatever. Yeah. The problem is, the people that work at Edelman aren't owners of the firm. And if you're not an owner of the firm, sometimes the grass is greener at other firms, if you know what I'm saying. And what you could find is that they might move from firm A to firm B to firm C. And that's always a challenge for the client. Actually, it pisses me off that happens all the time. But anyway, so what we're going to do here, this is Amar. He's going to talk 6 times a year, formalized conversations 6 times a year. That's what I told him. I said, look, Amar, I don't want to send you people that I could be working with. That's not what I want. And Amar said, no, I don't want that either. I want a deep dive, long-term commitment or relationship with people. And if they want to commit, they can, i.e. you can hire them and fire them at any time you want. You don't have to, but he wants to make the commitment to be there. I said, because hell, I could do that myself. If it's just, one-stop shop. I mean, that's easy. But he's going to talk about these services, a minimum of 4 dedicated client meetings, a minimum. And retirement planning, insurance planning, tax planning, and estate planning, I think get overlooked quite a bit. Simply because Amar's got pretty good software, not in-house created software in Excel spreadsheet like some prominent firms have, which I will not name. Prominent firms that everyone has heard of and paying big bucks for the firm software, which is just some in-house spreadsheets crap. But Amar's, I said, look, man, if you're going to be doing this, and I'm going to send you people who I know need your service, you got to make sure that you're freaking talking to people regularly. And that's the one thing he said, yep. And it's going to be $5,000 for a flat rate. You're going to do everything, $5,000, and he's going to dive into it deep. After the next year, the fee will be contingent on whatever you all agree with. I'm out of the loop at that point. I don't care. I mean, I had to loop the first year too, but what he's saying is basically he charges his average client is $8,500. Now he is in California, so if you're sitting in Arkansas, you're like $8,500. That's freaking highway robbery. Well, believe it or not, there are some people who pay in Arkansas and pay in Maine who pay. I'm telling you, I've seen it in my own eyes, well north of that for sure. For so inferior service, I know I've seen it with my own eyes many times. So I'm saying, all right, $5,000. You pay him up front. Is it up front? I can't remember, Amar. It's up front,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And he's going to do full-fledged financial plan, and he's going to talk to you probably more than you want Amar to talk to you. I'm just goofing. But
I'm a nice guy.
What's that?
I won't annoy people.
Yeah, right. I'm just goofing.
Conversationalist or whatever.
So sign up for his landing page if you're interested. But remember, it ain't cheap. And we're talking $5,000, and there's no refunds on this stuff too. I just want everyone. This is why I say to people all the time. I say I want people to be clear. You're spending a lot of flipping money. Make sure that if you're going to spend that money, that you're convinced that's money well spent. And there's no way to validate that in the front end. I cannot guarantee that you're going to be happy with my services or Amar. I am telling you, though, at the end of the day, if you're going to spend $5,000, you're going to get a straight shooter. If you're spending $2,500 for me, you're going to get a shot straight. We're not going to BS it. There's no reason to do that. There's just none. And later on down the road, you might want Amar to manage your money. You might not. That's completely up to you guys. But this is this is the white glove stuff. Some people say, Amar, I want more than you can offer, Josh. I said, I get it, but you're going to pay for that stuff. By hook or by crook, someone's getting paid. And so anyway, that is actually, believe it or not, in this business, $5,000 is a pretty good fee for sure. But I know that seems like a lot of money for people who aren't used to shelling out $5,000, but if you're paying for wealth management services through a investment advisory firm, I can almost assure you, if you have mid six figures, you're paying well above $5,000.
Yeah, and most of the time it's not full disclosure, right?
Oh.
It's hidden in the investment fees. Yep. So our firm is all about transparency, thought leadership, and making sure that you're working with a trustworthiness firm, right? Like, and I say trustworthiness because a lot of people can be trusted, right? Like Bernie Madoff was trusted, but he wasn't capable of being trustworthy, right? So, this is that, I would say, the entry point for most folks in our that come to our firm. Advice only sets the foundation. Then we have wealth management, which is really digging into investment management and all the other pieces. And then we also provide trust services in the terms of being a corporate trustee.
Oh, man.
Schwab. So we can, what we're geared towards is the individual that's retiring or retired throughout from this point to the end of life, making sure all their needs are covered. So that is what we're set up to do.
I'm so glad you brought up the trust stuff. I get that a lot, Amar. Jason says Amar is awesome. Jason is Amar's dad. Patty says Amar is personable. Patty's Amar's mom. So anyway, sign up. So the trust stuff, I get a lot. I get that a lot. What should I do next? Well, you need a trustee. And who's going to be that person? That's the challenge, man. But anyway, I want to show people, Amar. Let me just stop this real quick. I want to show people the brochure as well. Well, maybe I can't find it. What did I do with that? Hold on just a second. Is that it? Yeah. All right, cool. There we go. All right. Let me just bring that up. So here's a brochure. And look, a sales pitch or not, I don't care. I get the question a lot. Like, look, man, who could help me with my financial planning needs? I need more than just 1 or 2 meetings in the first year and then 1 a year after that. And that's always a challenge. It's always a challenge because I hate to say it, but Vanguard, who I like, but they're going to put you in 4 index funds. And then look, I know people who work there and I know they don't dive deep in this stuff. And I'm not bagging on Vanguard. For some people, that's fine for 35 basis points, but it's not going to be full throttle stuff. I'm just telling you right now. I know other firms that will go nameless that they look at investments and, they might call you on occasion because their compliance has to be called on occasion and say, are you still in the right asset allocation? That's not financial planning. That's investment stuff. And you're paying, a lot of times you're paying more than $5,000 for that. Mars talked to a guy, a former USAA guy last night. And he brought me a Tom Brady football jersey over. And it's a good friend of mine. Anyway, long story short, we're talking is like, I remember at USAA, we're trying to do the splitsy, where you put the bonds in an IRA and the stocks in a brokerage account for asset location. And also that was a significant fee reduction, because you might remember, Amar, let me just, anyway, here's the brochure. I'll put a link in the show.
Real quick, before you hop off the brochure, if you just scroll down to where I have that pyramid, it's on page, I think, 8. If you keep going, right there. Yep. So, I mean, for people that are wondering, like, what is a good fit for Client First Capital, or how do I know if I'm a good fit for the firm? I mean, this is basically states it right here, is that if you want an integrated approach from your investments, taxes, risk planning, estate planning, and you want that to integrate with, you know, your family dynamics and legacy planning, right? I mean, this is like the key to knowing if we could be a good fit, you know. And so most people, you know, they would have their needs met from, you know, pensions, incomes, or from their income from their investments or whatnot. And so they are looking at that legacy piece, right? Or they're asking themselves, should I be spending more? Can I enjoy more of my wealth now, right?
Amar, what, Patty, someone asked a question. What would you say your asset base be? Vinyl says about 2 to 10 million. You think that's about right?
I think so. I mean, so I would say that would be the sweet spot. And then, I mean, we definitely have clients that have less than that. We have clients that have more than that. You know, we just want to be there and give good advice. So, you know, that's why we have this introductory type rate, if you will. And so you can kind of try it out and see if it works. And then, then we can decide where to go from there.
Yeah, right on. And that's the 5,000. So, I mean, look, the way I look at it is, even if you got $500,000, if you're paying $5,000 for a 1 year approach from Amar, it's only 1% of your assets for 1 year to get a full-fledged arrangement. That's not bad. And if you want more, you know, later on, more power to it. But you might say, I'm pretty comfortable. But if you want the full-fledged arrangement, what Amar does for $5,000, you know, if you only have $250,000, probably not. But that's completely up to you. That's what you have to think of. But I would say, guys, if you're looking at, you know, probably north of $1 million is what I would say for liquid assets. And we hate to even do that, because some people have real estate. They don't have that much in liquid assets, but they have real estate and they have big cash flow because they have a pension. They might be a sole proprietor, or an S corporation or something like that. And they got business. They're making good cash flow. They need financial planning too. So it's not just that you have not enough liquid assets. It's what the complexity of the financial plan is, which sounds so great, but
so it shouldn't necessarily hinge on assets. It's the complexity of what's going on. You know, you could be in a first marriage, second marriage, and you have some estate planning issues of how do you divide up assets. You could have insurance needs, you know, like health insurance or Medicare, and you're trying to figure it out. I mean, it's not really asset based, but I would say that what we're trying to do is to give good advice, right? And good advice, you have to have some complexity, either family dynamics or there's, you know, between taxes and estate planning, some issues there. I mean, frankly, if you don't have issues, we'll tell you, you know, like, hey, you know, we're probably not the best fit for you, right?
Well, actually, that's, and I will stop this here in just a second, because the last thing I want to do is make this a sales pitch. But you have call Amar. If you fill out that thing, Amar's going to call you, and then you can have a 45-minute conversation. And he's going to say, look, you don't have the complexity. See ya. It's fine. I don't do that. I tell people all the time, I say, I just don't have the capacity. I probably get 10 requests a week. Hey, can I have a 15-minute call just to go over your services? And I hate telling people, no, I just don't have the capacity. Whereas
I have the capacity, right? And I can let you know, like, hey, you know, back of a napkin. Here's a couple.
And that's before you pay him. That's before you pay him. So Kim says, how does someone know if they need Amar service? Well, you talk to him. You fill out the thing, and he'll call you, and you say, okay. And Amar's got nothing to sell. That's what I love about this side of the business. But me, Jason, who's on here from Fighting Words Financial, Amar, is that we have nothing to sell except advice, which is awesome. And if you can't get advice because, frankly, your situation isn't that complex, it doesn't mean it's easy. It just means it's not that complex, which is fine. But if Amar says my fees are going to be worth the lack of complexity, well, you're on your way. It's perfect. So it's like a free look. It's awesome. Anyway, unfortunately, we know for a fact the other guys, and I hate to bash on other people, let me give a free look at your portfolio. Let me give you a second opinion. And everyone knows what that means. I'm going to give you a second opinion that your portfolio sucks. Let me throw you in my portfolio. I hate that. Let me give you a free opinion, second opinion on your portfolio. Yeah. Anyway, just real quick, I just had to share the story. So at USAA, if you had a bond portfolio, it's only like 60 basis points the fee. If you had any stocks is like 135 or something like that. Nuts. 1.35% versus 0.6. And so what we try to do is we split them. We put your stocks over here at 1.35, whatever the fee was, I can't remember. And we put your bonds over here in an IRA at 0.6, and your total fee was like 0.8 or something like that. Your all-in fee would
drop the total fee.
Huh?
It would reduce the total fee.
Yes, significant, but thousands of dollars. And USA compliance said, no, you can't do that. They have to have the same portfolio here, and there. And I'm telling you right now, there are tons of firms that you guys are paying fees for. They're doing the same damn thing, and it's freaking highway robbery, and it pisses me off. So I'm like, wait a second, man. Amar, check this out. I had a client who went to Vanguard. It was at Vanguard. They're 35 basis point fee. And we're doing the financial plan. I said, tell them to get out of in your Roth, to move all the bonds out of there, move it to your IRA. So your Roth will only be the VTI. That's it, VTI. Vanguard threw a fit. They said, no, you are a moderately conservative investor, so all of your accounts have to be moderately conservative. I said, this is freaking stupid. Your Roth should not be like that. Your IRA should be like that. That's fine, but your Roth should be nothing but stocks. Anyway, she had to threaten to leave the firm at Vanguard before they'd allow her, with her money now, to move that into an all-aggressive account, because Vanguard said, no, you're a moderately conservative investor. Thus, every portion of your portfolio needs to be moderately conservative. I cannot believe it. I said, that's not financial planning. That's push-button financial planning, and that's no good.
Let's bring up the RBC wealth management topics that we're going to cover over in the next 13 episodes.
Yep. All right, so let's go into that. Right on. So let me go into, if I can find it. Hold on just a second. Yeah, there it is. All right, cool. So this is fun. Now, yeah, all right. Can you all see that? So Jason is on here too. And Jason, you went through the Canon training, I think. And this is from RBC. This doesn't matter. We just pulled it off because this is actually, I think, pretty this is one of the better financial planning training programs I ever went through, frankly. And Amar and I went through a boatload of them.
I say the more actionable training program, right? Stuff you can actually use in real life, not theory and stuff like that.
Not theoretical, actually actionable. That's a great way to put it, Amar. Big fan of Canon. I can't remember what it's called, Canon something, but a big fan of these guys.
I brought this here because I know we're going to talk about it. Here's my old books, Canon Financial.
Is that what's just called, Canon Financial?
Yeah.
And so let's why don't you take this, Amar, and talk about it. Can you move the screen or?
No, I can't control the screen.
Okay.
So why don't we go through each one just real quick? So
so we're going to start first. We'll talk a little bit today about investments. I think that's important as we go into this new year, especially with Steely Joe in office. We got to make sure we have a strong investment approach for sure. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to go qualified retirement plans. your employer-sponsored plan, your IRA, your 401k, 403b, TSP. If you got 457 plan, I guess that's pretty much it. Your Roth. Here's your stock options. Now, some of you might not need stock option discussion, but some of you do. I deal with enough people to know RSUs, ISOs, everything under the sun when it comes to stock options. It's not it makes my head spin thinking about all this, which is why I turn to Amar, because that's what Amar does. He talks about stock options. So we're going to talk a deep dive in a month from now about stock options. Insurance. That covers everything from property and casualty. Now, every time I do a financial plan, I make sure you have replacement coverage, not fair market value on your homeowners. We also talk about umbrella policy, and Amar's going to do the same thing. We also talk about your auto policy, make sure your liability limits are up to snuff. Actually, Amar, I just got a thing from USAA yesterday. Apparently, there's a new law in Georgia about auto insurance, and USAA had to delete one of their riders off my Georgia auto insurance policy because of new law here. I haven't looked into it yet, but auto insurance, everyone has it, and you better know what you got. Of course, we're going to talk about life insurance, all that kind of stuff as well. Anything you want to add so far, Amar? There? Or?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the big ones that you haven't mentioned there, we'll probably talk about Medicare.
Oh,
right? So
yes,
that's the big thing for people that are looking to retire into retirement.
You offer Medicare?
We do through United Healthcare. So
okay.
Right now, United Healthcare is our provider of choice, which is also the provider of choice of AARP.
Okay.
And so we can position their products. The other piece of that is long-term care.
Yeah.
Right? So if you don't have long-term care insurance, what is your plan, right? So you don't have to have these insurances. You just need to make sure that the risk part, if one of those life events were to happen, that your assets or your plan can sustain
that. 10-year treasury is above 1% now, Amar. Crazy.
Yeah.
That's 10-year treasury has doubled in yield in 8 months' time, which means, of course, the price has gone the other direction. So I bet your bond funds, my friends, have gotten crushed. All right, let's keep going. Liabilities. Liquidity. Right there, I think, gets overlooked a lot. Let me just read this real quick. Managing the liability side is equally important. There are lots of great reasons to borrow money, maybe when you need fast, convenient access to cash. Now, RBC we're just literally stealing their document here. But however, there is a need for liquidity, especially when the opportunity presents itself. And that's one of the things with more complex financial planning arrangements, i.e. the type that Amar does. Where's the liquidity going to come if an opportunity presents itself real quickly, if that makes sense?
And you always want to have a safe place to access cash or access capital. And I've seen this, I've been an advisor since early 2004. So I've seen some volatile times like 08, and I've seen people go through life events in 08 and still need access to cash. And you don't want to be selling stocks, selling businesses, selling or getting loans in an opportune time. In fact, in 08, Josh, you probably had clients that their home line equities were taken away, right?
100%. Yep, absolutely.
And remember at USAA, they also limited how much you could take out of your home line equity. So let's say you had an active home line equity and you borrowed 20,000 and the limit was 100. They dropped that limit down to 20 and said, "Oh, it's done."
Big time. And that was a big disruption for many people, for sure.
Yeah. And then liabilities. We're in an environment where interest rates are so low, and so making sure that if you do have liabilities, that they're structured correctly. I would say, specifically around businesses and real estate.
The thing is about the debt side of the equation, my friends. One of the best things that I tell people who ask me all the time, how should I start as a financial advisor? I always say, go work at a bank, at a platform on the bank. I tell you, Amar, learning about home equity lines, even good old-fashioned car loans and things of that nature was huge for me in terms of understanding the debt side of the equation. Because when you're raised in investments, you just think about the asset side, but fewer and fewer people have assets relative to debt. And so knowing the debt side, how it operates, how to talk about it, and how you can frankly use it potentially to your benefit is hugely important. And I don't think many financial advisors know that at all. Huge one right here. This is probably the most underlooked, and Jason had mentioned in here about making sure your trust is funded, for instance. Titling of assets. It sounds so simple, and yet so many people screw this up with just ignorance. They just neglect to get their assets titled. It's painful to behold, and that is huge. And it sounds so easy. The reason no one talks about it because you don't get paid as an advisor for helping people title their assets. And yet it is probably the most underlooked thing when it comes to financial planning that I can imagine. Anything you want to talk about there, Amar?
I know that a lot of the big brokerage firms are trying to have these account openings all digital. And for a long time, you can only open an individual account or specific types of accounts online. And advisors would open these accounts and not title them correctly just because it was easier to open them digitally with just one owner.
Yep.
And last week, we're helping another client, and a lot of their accounts are just titled in his name or her name.
Yep.
Right? They're not titled as joint, or they don't have beneficiaries, or they don't have a TOD or POD assigned to those individual accounts. So there's a lot of things there that making sure that you have right. I would even say right titling and right beneficiary paperwork.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't. I'm surprised they have a separate thing for benefits.
They have it separately.
Okay.
You go down. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say that I would throw those two. I also will just real quick, a mistake people make all the time, everybody, is they'll add mom is going. She'll add her daughter to her house. And she's basically giving a gift of half the asset of the home. Everything is wrong with doing that. Just a bad, and sometimes it makes sense, but the vast majority of time. So let's just say my mom, she's in Virginia, and she goes, Abby, I want to make sure that blah, blah, blah. If I'm, blah, 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 I'm going to add you to my house, the deed. So now it's mom and Abby as joint owners. It's just bad. That's bad planning. And that happens all the time because I don't want you to go through probate, Abby. And Abby's like, Mom, don't freaking do that. Don't, because you've given me a gift. And on top of that, I don't then get half of the step up in basis. So it's just bad planning. Yeah. So, huge stuff. And the funny thing is, Amar, how would anyone know that?
Yeah. Well, their CPA should have filed a 709 as well, right?
That's what I'm saying.
So, if they do find out about it, it's usually after the fact. So, I've seen some of these joint accounts, mom and son, or mom and daughter, or dad and whatever, 2 generations, be there for 10 years before they realize, oops, I did something wrong.
Big time.
Yeah.
And the drawback is, how would the client know what they're doing was a mistake unless someone told them? And if the person who's setting up that titling doesn't know, then ignorance is bliss until the IRS comes knocking. All right, let's keep going. Another, probably in the top 3 here. I talk about this all the time. Durable power of attorney and medical directives. Durable power. We're not going to dive too deep into here because I want you guys to come back when we talk about this. But my goodness, I have a power of attorney. Who is it? My wife. Well, what happens? Well, she gets it when I die. That's a beneficiary designation. That's not a durable power of attorney. That's a beneficiary designation. The mistakes I've seen made. Look, and the only reason I say this, I'm like Khrushchev at the UN. I'm like John Ossoff. No, Ralph Warnock at the UN, banging my shoe at the table saying, "We will bury you" to the capitalists, because Ralph Warnock, my new senator here in Georgia, Amar, is a commie, deep red commie, and he's banging his thing at the UN telling the capitalists, "We will bury you." I'm like Warnock at the UN saying that, because it's like, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this experience. And it's a lack of experience. I had no clue what a durable power of attorney was when I had been in the business, but just absolutely, I've been in this since 1998. Amar's been in for a long time as well. Once you've been in the business, you start seeing mistakes that other people made, and you start saying, I'm never going to let that happen to my clients.
Yeah, I think the number one advantage of working with a good financial advisor is that they've helped thousands of people at your level 10 years from now, 20 years from now, from an age perspective, right? So if you're 50, they work with clients in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and they've seen the good and bad and things that can happen. And they can use that perspective to help educate or guide your decision making. And being a sounding board is, I would say, a highly valuable part of the relationship.
If you see me over here, I'm just doing comments, Amar. Just if you wonder what I'm looking over here, I'm not texting my girlfriend. I'm actually just doing responding to comments. All right, so executor trustee. We talked about the trustee earlier as well, but this is all part of estate planning, and again, something that gets overlooked a lot. And
if you don't have somebody that you trust, the options of having a corporate trustee like Fidelity, Schwab, or even us step in and do those responsibilities on your behalf. I mean, that's something that we often see people that have large families or they have complex planning needs. Maybe you have a lot of wealth and nobody in your family has managed that amount of wealth, and you don't feel comfortable. So there are many different issues around selecting the right executor or right trustee, or even having a third party play that, be that person in your plan.
The along those lines too is, I mean, I get this a lot too. Is like, you got 3 kids, one's in Seattle, one's in Miami, one's in Boston, and you got a couple places of real estate. One's in Colorado, Aspen. One's in, I don't know, freaking Corpus Christi or something like that, and then your primary residence is in San Diego. I mean, that's and on top of that, your children may not see things eye to eye. There's a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that goes to family harmony, right? Josh? I think Josh's screen froze. I think, Josh, can you hear me? Yeah, family harmony is one of the key things. So I guess I can see the comments and it says frozen. So I guess I can't control the screen. So I'll just, Josh is frozen. All right. So let's see. We're the executor, and guess who's calling me? Hold on. Josh. Yeah, I can't control. It says I'm in this show now, and it's just me. So Josh is trying to get back in. So we'll wait for Josh. Here, I'm going to start sharing my screen. You want me to just continue?
Yeah, you continue, man.
All right, so I'm going to share. All right. Sorry about that. Again, Josh and I are not the best at technology, and I don't know if I'm sharing my screen properly. If you are, all right, perfect. So I'm going to continue from where Josh and I were talking. We're talking about trustees. So gifts to children or other people during life. We all have an annual gifting amount that we can can do it at $15,000 per person. So technically, if you have husband and wife and you have one child, you could gift $30,000 a year. And I'm not suggesting that you would gift that amount, but some people, that have larger estates that they're not going to spend everything down, and you want to help your kids now, you should. And one of the ways that we can do that is by doing annual gifting. The number 10 here is charitable giving during life. So there's many ways to give to charities, right? And one is you can give cash. You just write a check. I would say 90% of people do this, and it's the worst way to gift to charities. I'm telling you, you're missing out on a lot of planning opportunities. So let's go over a couple. You could gift stock to a charity. Well, what's the benefit there? Well, the biggest benefit there is that, let's say you have stocks that have a large gain. Well, you can take that gain and give it to the charity. They can sell it and not have to pay any capital gains on that sale. That is a big benefit to you. So you get, obviously, no gains, and you have other cash that you would have given. You could buy that same security, and now you've got to step up in cost basis without paying any taxes. That is awesome. The second way that I think most people would want to give is directly from their IRA and retirement accounts, right? So we're going to talk about that a little bit, which is a qualified charitable deduction. And the third thing that you may want to consider is a donor advised fund. And a donor advised fund is for people that itemize that are going to be going into standard deductions. The donor advised fund will allow you to maximize that year that you do itemize. So I'm going to skip here to 11 is distributions of wealth. So how are you distributing your wealth at death? So if you have a trust, is there a survivor's trust? Sometimes you have a Q-tip. Sometimes there's sometimes you don't have a trust at all, and then you just do POD or TOD, payable on death, transfer on death. These are all different ways. I mean, you could figure which one works for you. I'm trying to read the comments at the same time. I don't know if Josh is back on or not, or is coming back on. I see no, there's always a disconnect. This is from Mark. There's always a disconnect from financial planning and estate planning. I'm the only one that looks at the financial health and estate plan for me and my wife. Exactly. You need to get your wife involved, is what I would say. The other thing that we sometimes do is family meetings, right? So when generation one feels comfortable, generation two, hey, Josh is back. Get generation two to feel comfortable letting, opening up your kimono, letting generation two know a little bit about your financial positions. Maybe consider doing an annual family meeting about, what's going on in terms of income, what you want to see happen if something happens to mom and dad, etc. So Josh, I was just continuing. I don't know how much you heard or didn't hear, but
I heard you talking that,
11, and we're on number 12.
I heard you talking crap on me, Amar. I heard you talking that Josh is so good. I don't like his right-wing politics don't make me feel comfortable with my lifestyle choices. Where's that from? Anyone know who said that in a TV show? His politics don't make me feel comfortable with my lifestyle choices. Do you know who that was, Amar? You might be too young.
I don't even own a TV, so I'm.
That's Waylon Smithers from The Simpsons. When Mr. Burns was meeting the Republican Party with Rush Limbaugh, the devil, vampire, Waylon Smithers was the guy who told Lisa and Bart that they were up to no good because Waylon, he had a different lifestyle, if you know what I'm saying. And he didn't feel that the Republican Party, Mr. Burns, was compatible with his lifestyle choices. This is a classic. It's classic. Crummy Trust. Did you want to add anything about a Crummy Trust? Crummy Trust is just not that big of a deal, but I mean.
Yeah. So we will be going on to different types of trust structures when we talk about estate planning. So I think that's one of the topics in this. Let's save that to when we go there.
Just real quick, I mean, all you're doing is you have a Crummy letter to say that someone has the ability to fund a life insurance policy through the trust for the most part. I mean, there's all kinds of different mechanisms with that trust, but at the end of the day, it's just a Crummy letter that says, "Hey, this is how I'm funding said mechanism." And it's kind of like, just real quick, Amar, it's kind of like going back to the whole thing with estate planning. If you don't, and going back to 709 forms, because someone had asked about 15,000, you can only give 15,000. You can literally give up to, what is it, 5.325 million, Amar? Is that what the annual exclusion?
No, it's 11.
11? Okay.
Yeah, but you have to file a 709. I mean, you're using your exemption amount.
Right.
So the annual gifting is not using your exemption amounts, right? So you're keeping those intact. And I think the question with the Crummy letter, to get into a little bit, is that does it make sense if you don't have a ton of assets? I mean, sometimes it does, because what we've seen is exemption amounts go, they started really low, they went up, and then they went back down, right, and then they're back up again. And right now everybody's afraid that they're going to go back down, right?
100%.
So if you want to protect how much assets are on your side of the balance sheet, the Crummy trust do make sense in terms of getting that off your balance sheet. Just it's kind of like insurance, protecting yourself in the future. But how many people need to do that? I don't know. And you have to really look at what is the terminal value that you want at the end of life. Because remember, the number one thing you can do to reduce your estate is spend it.
Exactly.
You spend it. You enjoy the money, right? Yep. And so there's a lot of other things there that we can get into.
Yeah, the Crummy.
I
wouldn't put that so much. Just remember, guys, you have a significant amount you can give away right now without worrying about it being taxed. I mean, I can almost assure you, no one on here is going to have a gift tax consideration at all. Even if you go above the $15,000 thing, you just fill out the 709, and all you're doing is you're telling the IRS, I'm keeping a running tally of how much I've given. And I stress this because I think so many people don't make the proper choice of giving assets while they're alive to their kids and grandkids who are going to use them right now because they're worried about being subject to gift tax. It's freaking not, man. Now, I will say, with Steele in office, this could change. And we know back in the old days, back in 2009, the chairman of House Ways and Means was Charlie Rangel, that clown from, corrupt clown from New York, from the Harlem. And he wanted to reduce the estate tax exemption back down to like $1 million, like what it was essentially pre-Bush. That didn't get any. There was no. Obama didn't have any. Biden's not gonna have anything like that. But at the end of the day, if Kamala takes over, that's Amar's senator. We don't know. I mean, wealth tax is going big in California. And we don't know what the exemption is going to be. So you got to keep your eyes on this stuff, because I don't think you'll have
it's always changing, Josh, right? This is it's not, two things I would say, and then maybe we come back to one of these questions. Two things is it's always changing, and there are rich politicians as well, right? So they're not going to want to put laws in effect that really ding them from a planning perspective as well. So, right now there's a lot of changes, but I mean, you got to think long term. And so one of the things was, would you use a Crummy trust to fund a disabled child, for example? And I don't think you would. I would have to look this up again, but I don't think you would, because then those assets, the year that you give them, that Crummy letter says that they have control of those assets. That may kick them off of Social Security, disability, or any other benefit like that. So we can take that one later.
Can you see that? Can you see when I put my comments on there, Amar? Is that showing up on your end?
I see that. Yeah.
Because what happened was that Sideshow Bob was running for mayor. He's trying to beat Mayor Quimby, who is a buffoon, not a lot different than our current politics. And they had dead pets voting. Very interesting, huh? You never see that in America, of dead people voting. That would never happen. Anyway, yeah, keep going. I think we got one more.
Did you see? My thing is, it doesn't let me scroll.
Yeah, may share a screen.
Should I stop sharing my screen?
Yeah, might as well.
Maybe
Go
that
to
would
the wrong one. Hold on a second. Hold
now
on.
you're sharing.
Yep, good. I shared the wrong one. Share right there. Okay. There we go. No, I keep throwing this one up there. Where's the 13 thing? So hold on a second. I thought
I can put it back up on my side if you want.
There we go. All right. The last one is business owners. Oh wait, did you already?
No. Charitable gifting at death. So I mean, this is, what assets pass on matter, right? So if you're charitably inclined, and then your trust, you say 30% goes to charities. Well, heck, if you have an IRA transfers outside your trust, and so you have to manage for that. Number one, and number two, if you have children, like that are benefiting from some legacy standpoint, they're not going to want to have IRA assets. So this, again, titling and beneficiary designations is number 12. Number 13 is business owner interests. So if you have a family business and you have children, let's say you have 3 children and only one child wants to stay in the family business, like how do you divide that up? How do you make it fair? So we'll be talking a little bit about that. Also, the strategies around if you're going to sell a business, do you have a family limited partnership that owns the business so you can have discounted shares for the children, right? So these are some of the things that we'll be talking with that as well.
You might. My better half is texting me, Amar. We have a car in a shop. Never buying another GMC. I'll tell you that right now. And she's not happy with the folks because they've had it now for 2 days, and they're gonna have it for another day. All right. So we talked. So we hit the 13 issues, right?
We did.
Right.
So I mean, we're already at an hour. I mean, we could keep going if you think. I have some time.
Yeah. So folks, fire. I mean, we don't have a huge crowd here today, and I didn't realize we were going to be competing with Trump, so that's fine. So questions, thoughts, concerns, a lot to dive into. Well, a lot to dive into going forward, and Amar has said it. Is you've got to be paying attention to your not just your investment portfolio, your estate plan, your insurance plans, all this stuff. You have got to be paying attention because if not, it's going to sneak up and bite in the butt. In Georgia, 2008 or 9, they changed the POA stuff. Or was it the living will? In Florida, they changed the, I can't remember. But laws change all the time, specific to state. All right, estate planning, your laws change all the time. And if you're not up to snuff on that, or heaven forbid, you're domiciled now in Nevada, getting out of crappy old California because you're Jason Proctor and you're making too much money, you're paying big bucks because he said, I paid too much in taxes. Wah, my taxes are too high. Why'd you vote for Governor Gruesome, man? Jeez Louise and blue cheese. I voted for the left, but I didn't want my taxes raised. I don't know if you got, I'm totally just bagging on Jason. I have no idea if he voted for Gruesome or not. But what I'm saying is, if you do redomicile, you got to keep up with your estate docs. If you do redomicile, let's say you're living in California, you got a bunch of California municipal bonds because you hate to pay Governor Gruesome income tax. And now you're in Nevada. Do you need to keep those California municipal bonds? I don't know. Maybe you got a good coupon. I don't know. But you got to be up on this, my friends. And I worry that in financial planning, people think, well, I have Vanguard managing my money, so my financial plan is good. The hell's bells? That's not true. Anyway, so it's something that is critically important to do, which is why I wanted to offer this service that Amar is giving, because some people need more than what I do. And it's good. Now, should you decide to engage in him, that's up to you. But sign up to this freaking thing and have a conversation with him. You know what his fee is going to be. So if you don't want to pay $5,000, no, don't go for it. But if you're like, I think I might need that service, well, call him, or he'll call you and see if it works for him, man. All right, so let's see. So Patty says, looking forward to your series. Right on, Patty. Appreciate that. So we will do just like this. So get your questions in. I'm trying to think what else. I guess that's it. For instance, we got the 2021 numbers out. And my wife works for an estate planning, a CPA firm, Amar. So actually, I think they just made changes to the 1099 doc as well. I was going to do a video on that. Yeah, I can't remember. But anyway, I can't remember.
Crummy says get a Ford truck. Yeah, I have a Ford Expedition. Have had Fords all my life. I would second that.
Jeremy, are you in Maine? Jeremy says Janet Mills will be recalled. I don't think so, but Maine, Janet Mills. Give me Paul LePage any day of the week, man. Lamar, you don't need to say anything on this, and you can stop. You can get off if you want. But for the love of me, my friends, would you stop with this fear that where all of a sudden Biden is going to tax you to death? It's not going to happen. There's not going to be any massive legislation change. They don't have a big enough majority. They don't. And so because of that, I just don't make rash decisions. And certainly, for heaven's sake, and Amar, I showed people this from yesterday. This is an article from the Washington Post, which I've kept since 1992, how painful it was for me from the right to see Clinton win the presidency with big majorities in the House and Senate. And I hate to say it, 92 to 2000 was a freaking huge market run. Don't just get out of, I mean, look, if you can't sleep at night, then get out of stocks. But don't say my politics are going to dictate whether I stay in the market or not, because that, I hate to say, that's just foolish. Obama.
The market has gone up under Democratic leadership and Republican leadership, and so it's true there. Josh, I just wanted to put up my disclosure because the big difference between you and I is somebody's watching me constantly.
Yep.
Boy, how do I do this? I'll just do it like I did last time. Put it here. What's that? So do you see my whole screen, or do you just see?
I don't see anything, man.
It says StreamYard is sharing your screen.
Oh, I got to click on it. Okay. Oh, sweet. I know I could. All right, there you go. I think, yep. Cool.
So this is just disclosures in the background. So let's answer some questions here. It says buy Honda and Toyota. Yeah, Ford trucks are good. Yeah.
Avon Leanne says, what topic are we talking about? Today, we just talked about the introduction to our 13 wealth management topics. We're going to be talking about on a bi-weekly basis or whatever it is, twice a month.
So the next one will be under investments.
Yeah.
So it says there's a K1 that takes a long time. Assuming that's a distribution that happened, and there's some securities there that didn't report on time. Ken says a competent trustee is not a family member. Yeah, that sometimes can be true. I would say family members have emotions involved, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when there's a life event, there's a lot of emotions. A lot of family members have family dynamics between siblings, and so forth. So yeah, I would say that could be true.
Let me share on some on that. So as I was saying before, my wife has 8 brothers and sisters, and when her mom died, some were arguing about literally the curtains. It was nuts, and it's just when you're losing a person in your family, your emotions are raw, and those emotions. And let's just put it this way: it could cause a rift in a family that is hard to overcome, if that makes sense. That hasn't happened. She has, and her family hasn't. But I've dealt with clients, stupid stuff, and they literally, sisters have to talk through an arbitrator when they just talk, an attorney.
Yeah.
They're so
I've even seen, I would say the most common case is most people put the eldest child as their trustee or executor. Yeah. And that may not be the child that understands financial stuff the best, right? You could have somebody else that understands financial stuff better.
But all that stuff's going to cost money. No one does this for free. So the question is, you got to weigh those.
You paying, yeah. When will be millennial prime earning years? So millennial started in 1980. Is that right?
Yeah,
I'm a millennial, right? Yeah. So. I don't know, 20 years from now, 2040? How will life estate deeds hold up?
I don't even know what a life estate deed. Do you know what that is?
I believe that's a testamentary trust. So basically, at death, your the deeds get transferred. I believe that's still through a probate process, but I'll have to double check that. If you're paying 37% federal, then your income is over 516.
Hey, I gotta go watch my dogs, Amar. So we're gonna have to cut this off because everyone's in school. My wife is at work. So here I come. So anyway, thanks you all for being here. I hate to get off here but my dogs, they need someone to attend to them because they're in training. Amar, appreciate it. When we're done, when this shows up, I'm going to put links to the show notes for Amar's services, also his webpage, Jason Proctor's Fighting Words Financial, or his YouTube channel, Jason Proctor, Fighting Words Financial as well. Subscribe to them all, man. The more people subscribe, the more YouTube will put financial planning relevant topics out there. In fact, real quick, hold on a second.
And Mia said there's no probate, so I'm assuming what I meant by that is that you still have to show to the court the document, so that there is a trust, a deed that transfers. So there may not be a formal probate.
Wow, well, there he is. Hey, he's back, Pablo. Whee! You left the Pablo, and here comes Finney. Right, and so here's Pablo. Oh, and Finney just walked out. All right, I got to run, man. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. I'll call you here in a little bit. Thanks, guys.